Nazi Germany was totalitarian. Totalitarian means they tried to control every single aspect of life. They tried to control it via the secret police, educational system, and propaganda. The police and secret police would try to catch people who were anti-socialist, because Hitler saw them as a threat. The educational system was also changed in a way that the children learned what the Nazis approved of. How life was in Nazi Germany depended on in which group you were. For example, you had a very good and wealthy life if you were part of the NSDAP, the National Socialist German Workers' Party. You also had a very big house and lots of food. The ordinary people had also a very good life, but their life was not as wealthy as the NSDAP members. The people were happy because the economy grew, there was enough work, the roads were improved, and the army gave the people a feeling of security. Women could only work as weavers, domestic servants, or in the food and drink industry. Also, women were given a loan of 1,000 marks if they got married, and could keep 250 marks per child. You also had, as Hitler called it, the Untermensch. They had the hardest lives. Jews were prosecuted and put in concentration camps or killed. Gypsies were also killed. People were sterilized, mentally and physically disabled people were sterilized or killed, and beggars, homosexuals, prostitutes, alcoholics, pacifists, hooligans, and anti-socialists. And as a last group, you have the youth. This was a very important group of people because Hitler thought it was the future of Nazi Germany. He wanted strong men and women, and he has said the following about what he wanted in boys. The weak must be chiseled away. I want young men who can suffer pain. A young man must be swift as a greyhound, as tough as leather, and as hard as scrubbed steel. Boys were obliged to join the Deutsches Jungvolk, which means German young people, when they were 10. When they turned 14, they had to join the Hitlerjugend, Hitler Youth, and when they turned 18, they joined the army. The Hitlerjugend had activities that already trained them to become a soldier. They had to do all kinds of activities, for example, bayonet drill, throwing grenades, map reading, pistol shooting, and much more.
War in Europe began officially on the 1st of September 1939, when Germans and Soviets invaded Poland, Finland, and the Baltic states. The Prime Minister, Neville Chamberlain, of Britain conceded this territory to Germany in the Munich Agreement, in exchange for a promise of no further territorial demands. Hitler accused Britain and Poland of trying to encircle Germany and renounced the Anglo-German Naval Agreement and the German-Polish Non-Aggression Pact. In August 1939, the Soviet Union and Germany signed the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, a non-aggression treaty with a secret protocol. The parties gave each other a piece of Poland and some other countries. When Germany and the Soviet Union attacked Poland almost simultaneously, on 6th of October 1939, Hitler made a public peace overture to the United Kingdom and France. But Chamberlain refused, saying there can be no reliance placed on the current German government. After this, Hitler ordered an immediate attack on France, but due to bad weather, this had to be delayed to the spring of 1940. In April 1940, Germany invaded Denmark and Norway. British discontent over Norway led to the replacement of the British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain with Winston Churchill on the 10th of May 1940. Germany launched an attack on France and the Benelux. While Germany was invading France, Italy declared war on France. After the invasion of France, France was split up between Germany, Italy, and an unoccupied ram state called the Vichy regime. Hitler again offered to end the war, but Britain refused. Following the strategic bombing offensive against British cities to prepare for an invasion. After this, the USA was starting to tighten its bond with the Allies and became involved in the war. On the 22nd of June 1941, Germany attacked the Soviet Union in Operation Barbarossa. But the operation failed just before they reached Moscow. By early December, the Soviet Union launched a counter-attack offensive and pushed the German 200 kilometers back. In 1942, Allied forces drove the Axis out of North Africa. When the Germans stopped the Russian offensive, they almost took Stalingrad but counterattacked and were driven back and had to create a front line around the city of Kursk. The Germans were bitterly defeated at the Battle of Kursk. On the 3rd of September 1943, the Allies invaded Italy. On the 6th of June 1944, known as D-Day, the Western Allies invaded northern France and pushed the Germans back into Germany, where the Soviets were fighting a battle over Berlin. Germany surrendered on the 29th of April 1945.
The Germans were discontent about the war reparation payments to the victors of World War I. They began to believe in radical ideas like the one from Hitler. Hitler wanted a good society and was a master of intrigue and maneuver. After he had acquired German citizenship, he wanted to be president during the elections of 1932. When the Nazis had been elected as the largest party in 1932, Hitler wanted the chief post. Hindenburg, the current president, called Hitler Chancellor, but he refused to give him extraordinary powers. After Hindenburg died, Hitler became the president and chancellor.
The Third Reich existed from 1933 to 1945 and was a dictatorship controlled by Adolf Hitler and the Nazis. Paul von Hindenburg, president of the Weimar Republic, chose Hitler as the Chancellor of Germany on the 30th of January 1933. Under his control, the 30% unemployment rate was taken down quickly. The Nazi Party spread a lot of propaganda with their ideas about the future regime of the Third Reich. As Hindenburg died, Hitler became dictator of Germany. The regime of the Third Reich was racist, especially anti-Semitism. The times of executions were called the Holocaust. The regime supported the people, especially women, to only bear children of the Aryan race. The Third Reich grew over a couple of years. They first got the Saarland back via referendum. Lithuania was afraid of the Nazis to get their country via the sea and surrendered the Memel district to the Nazis. Between 1939 and 1941, the Germans invaded Poland, France, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Belgium, and the Soviet Union. After the Nazis occupied a lot of land in Europe, a lot of civilians tried to displace the Nazis, but they did not succeed. Pushing the Germans out of Western Europe was only achieved by a massive British, French, American, and Soviet counter-offensive, launched on the 6th of June 1944, better known as D-Day. After one of the largest military build-ups in history, Allied troops were ferried across the English Channel, where they stormed the heavily fortified beaches of the Nazi-occupied France. Despite the big losses, the Allies breached the German defensive and began to pour into Europe. In the east, 2 years of Operation Barbarossa had proved a disaster, costing Germany more than 1 million men. By the end of 1944, Germany's forces were depleted, divided, and in retreat across Europe. This was the defeat of the Nazi Germany. On the 30th of April, when the Russian army arrived in Berlin, Adolf Hitler committed suicide. The cause of this, the leadership of Germany passed to Joseph Goebbels, but he didn't have the power for a day and already committed suicide as well. The Germans surrendered at the 7th of May, a week after the death of Hitler.